Hey there guys, what's going on? It's Gale right here, back on the 5-9 channel, and today we're here to talk about Dr. Stone Season 2. The end of the season is here. We have a lot of things to talk about. Of course, it was a pretty short season compared to last season, of course. Last season was 25 episodes, so not that much to cover, but still a lot of information and a lot of plot points to talk about. And today with me, we have Waffles. Say hello.
Hello everyone, Waffles the Asian Yenbear here. Happy to talk about Dr. Stone, one of my, I wouldn't say guilty pleasures, but I guess just my pleasures in watching this anime. It's been fun.
I mean, yeah, it's one of the more unique shows, of course, and if you are interested in seeing more reviews like these, we will be doing Jujutsu Kaisen tomorrow, and then potentially AOT on Monday. Please leave a like down below and comment on what do you guys think of the season as a whole, just like I mentioned in yesterday's ReZero review, and what do y'all think about Dr. Stone. But without a further ado, let's move right in. But before we go, reminder, we are anime only people. I've not read anything in Dr. Stone. I'm personally probably gonna start reading the manga after, now that the season is over. I'll probably start reading the manga. What about you, Waffles? Are you planning on reading the manga at any point now?
Well, I'm not a huge manga reader, but it has been pretty highly recommended, so I think I might be considering it. We'll see. I'm still a little unsure about it.
And yeah, of course. So there you are, of course. So reminder, we're not gonna delve into manga spoilers because we don't know manga spoilers either. So don't worry about that.
Random guesses if you want.
I mean, yeah, we could probably throw out random guesses and they might be accurate, who knows. But let's get right into it. Our general thoughts first and foremost. Personally, I really liked this season for the most part. I felt it was a bit on the short side. You know, season 1 was a lot, to be fair to season 1, it had to do a lot more in terms of developing the world, you know, understanding what had happened and, you know, exploring, trying to discover this world that now exists basically, or has evolved into. Whereas this season was more so effectively building towards a conflict between Tsukasa's empire and of course Senku's kingdom of science, right? So obviously there was that, and it still felt a bit on the short side, even though it was, you know, it would have been one core only. I would have preferred it being a 12 episode to 13 episode season, maybe giving it a bit more time and, you know, allowing them to be fleshed out a bit and giving time to the moments themselves more so than anything else. I felt the moments went a bit too snappily, I suppose is the best way to put it. But in my opinion, apart from that, I enjoyed it for the most part. The animation was solid. You know, I didn't see a major upgrade from last season like I've seen in other shows that have gone from a season 1 to season 2, for example Kaguya-sama. And I mean, soundtrack was a banger as per, like, I mean, season 1 had a really good soundtrack, and I'm glad to see that they continued with that in here. What about you, Waffles? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think overall, like you said, I think the animation was about the same. I think there were a few moments I wish had been a little bit better, but not. That's like me nitpicking, honestly. I would say though, as far as the episode length, like I would have liked to see 1 or 2 more episodes. I didn't need a full season like season 1. I felt that it still told the story very concisely, but I felt that there were a few moments that could have been fleshed out a little more. Specifically things, you know, towards the climax I would have liked to see. I think maybe the pacing was a little bit off for me as far as the actual season goes. I think there was a little too long on some of the beginning parts and the build up, and not enough time I felt dedicated towards the end. But I think overall it was still a really great season. I loved it. I was watching it week to week, and I was trying to watch it like as soon as it dropped. So that was the one anime I think myself and my partner were looking forward to the most because it's such a unique little show.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the shonen shows, you know, for all things said and done, like, credit where it's due, and this is more so just about Dr. Stone in general, not season 2 particularly. Senku is probably one of the smartest shonen MCs we've ever seen. Let's be
his
real.
power,
I
right?
mean, hey, yeah, that is his power effectively, and it's so nice to actually see an MC that's not kind of, I mean, he's still a bit aloof in certain situations, and, you know, he's, yeah, it's the guy, like the oblivious trope. He's got that oblivious trope for the most part still, you know, attached to him. But for the like, as we mentioned, there's very few that come close to him in terms of the 200 IQ plays that he manages to do. And it's a joy to watch. For a shonen to have a good, like, a smart MC is kind of sometimes there, but not always there, right? Like, they're battle smart, but never like just generally smart. And Senku is like super smart in everything pretty much, right? but I agree with you on what you said. Like, I would have preferred 1 or 2 episodes. I'm not asking for a second core or a second part, making it a 24 episode, 26 episode season. But I think an episode or 2 would have been appreciated. Yeah, I agree. Like, an episode or 2 would have been more appreciated. But let's move into the main plot points now to talk about, some scenes that we think were obviously key and, major plot points that happened. And of course, the first very plot point we saw was the a whole thing with using Lillian's voice. Gen obviously could copy Lillian's voice and her singing, well, not her singing capabilities, just her voice pretty
Just
much.
her voice, yeah.
We saw what happened when he tried to sing. It didn't really go that well.
That didn't go well at all.
誰かがリリアン・ワインバーグを語ってんなら絶対に許さない
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So, and they tried to basically lie/trick people from Tsukasa's empire to say like, oh, Lillian's somehow still alive and kicking, kinda. How did you feel about that one, that plot point, Waffles?
Honestly, I don't know how I was really feeling about that one. I felt like maybe it was... it felt a little bit weird because it didn't seem like Senku's MO. Like, for him to go with kind of a lying plan was kind of strange to me. So I think it worked out fine, but it definitely caught me off guard the first time they mentioned it because I just thought, well, I don't... There has to be some sort of catch to this because I don't think that, like, he's the type of person who's really gonna lie his way to victory. I don't know.
I think it was kind of, in my opinion, on the other hand, I kind of expected it because of the way it was setting up to me. Because there was no way Senku could have beaten... Well, we know Senku couldn't have beaten, Tsukasa and his empire, like, straight fight to fight,
course,
right?
Yeah.
There's no way.
No way.
There had to be an element of guerrilla tactics, kind of, right? And this was one of the ways, kind of infiltrate the enemy's, inner rankings, kind of thing. And he kind of had to do that, and I wouldn't say expected it, but it was one of the ideas I would have said, yeah, that works, kind of thing, right? I liked it. I mean, yeah, it kind of didn't pan out the way they imagined it to because they got caught immediately.
See,
they literally just got caught on site.
I would have been a lot happier
Go
about
ahead.
it, I think, if there were more repercussions to him actually, like, tricking everyone. But it seemed like it just got glossed over. It's like, oh, he was lying to you. Oh, okay, well, there's dynamite now. Okay, we're done.
Hey, I mean,
okay.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
It's like,
I mean, yeah, and that's something else. And of course, the next thing we know is, of course, Chrome also got captured at the start as well when, trying to secure everything and get everything sorted out.
get the
And
cell phone over there.
yeah, that was. Yeah, trying to get the cell phone over there, and it was like, bro, it feels bad, man. Chrome always is like just the bait. I swear, for the most part, he's always like that guy who's just like, you know what, I'm gonna give myself up. Thanks.
I will say, though, I was actually kind of happy for that because it gave Chrome a decent chance to shine without Senku there, because I feel like a lot of times he's overshadowed by Senku because they kind of feel similar archetypes. So it's nice to give him some actual time to shine, and it also added some more nuance to Tsukasa's camp that we couldn't really see from the outside. Things like Ukyo, Yo being just dumb, but Ukyo was really cool. So I think it was a good opportunity, and I was happy to see Chrome actually have to try to figure things out on his own. It was nice.
Yep. No, of course. It was good to see some things happening in that regards with Chrome. My bad. But yeah, no, that was great. And then, of course, they were building. I mean, I remember when I saw it in the anime opening for the first time, and I was like, wait, are you seriously telling me they just went off and built a tank out of all things? Like,
first episode,
I was like, excuse me, wait, what? I was like, bro, there's no... If they're building a tank, wait, how are Tsukasa and Ko gonna deal with it? Like, that was insane to me. What did you think about that as well? I mean, you obviously said seeing that in episode 1 was just a surprise, but just seeing them building the tank and everything.
I was like, I was really surprised when I saw it. I was just like, okay, is this just part of the opening? Like, is this just something weird? And then they actually built it. I'm like, oh, okay. I was totally fine with them building it. I think, though, it would have been a really cool twist, so I'm a little upset that they spoiled it in the opening, honestly, because I think that was a really exciting moment when they were just like, yeah, we're building the Steam Gorilla, and because they had built all these small things leading up to it, and then it was like, okay, we're gonna put it all together and make a tank and save Chrome. I'm just like, cool, I'm in, let's do it. But
I mean, yeah, you know what's like out of all the things that could have happened, I mean that was probably the most funniest thing I've seen in a while in terms of any show. It's like, you know what? You know, these guys have superpowers, these guys have that. You know what? In this show, we're gonna just build a tank and, you know,
why not, right?
roll up, basically.
Yeah, our
It's
paper
crazy.
tank.
It was just, and I was like, bro, the way they made it as well was like, are you seriously telling me that's how we're gonna go about it? But you know what? I rock with it. You know what? I'll rock with it. Let's do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's just go with it, bro. But yeah, the next thing we obviously have is the fight in the Miracle Cave, and of course the dynamite scene. Now I know you've been talking about this. Let me know your thoughts before I give mine.
Sure. Honestly, having had it build up for the whole season, I felt like I really loved every moment of it, especially, and I guess we'll talk about it a bit more later, but Taiju coming back just made it amazing for me. So even if it had been bad, I just love Taiju. So having him around is great. But honestly, I think that I liked the suspense there. I liked that there were moments where it's like, okay, wait, what are we gonna do? Oh, we're gonna run into the cave. We lost our gunpowder. Okay, we're gonna try to make something really quickly. And if this isn't the specific type of sulfur or something like that, specific type of bat poop, I don't know, it's not gonna work. And I was just like, okay, I'm down. I'm here. I'm watching every bit of this. I really like the Miracle Cave fight. I wish there had been a little bit more, just teeny bit more devoted to the Miracle fight.
Yeah.
The Miracle Cave fight would have been good.
I think the biggest thing for me as well in that specific moment, especially for the Miracle Cave fight and the dynamite scene, like you said, is like it started like you could notice that there were some moments that either were cut or they just didn't add and they decided to just gloss over it, right? Kind of at some points, and it kind of was noticeable, and this happens in a lot of shows, I feel, especially shows with only like 11 to 13 episodes. It's like the first half's very solid, they expand a lot on it, and then they realize in the last 6 episodes it's like, damn, we don't have enough episodes for this. Just try and cram everything in to the best of their capabilities, which is to say Dr. Stone still did a great job with it. You know, all things said and done, you know, if you think about it, it's still a very solid, well handled and managed product that came out of it. But one would have to think, you know, if the production committee decided to give them an extra episode or two, you know, what could have been, kind of thing, right?
Okay,
Go for it.
cool. So I have a quick point I just wanted to mention. I think that they did a really good job of where they would cut each episode for the Miracle fight, especially like that ending scene where Tsukasa finds the phone was just a huge cliffhanger and it was perfect to me. Like I saw that and I was just like, all right, I'm ready to watch the next episode. Where is it? Let's go. Like that was fantastic. And I like the dynamite ending scene. Great. All these very good.
Yeah, I agree that it was well handled in my opinion. I think overall, like I said, it did require, I think, a bit more time, but again, credit where it's due to the writers, directors, you know, all of those guys. They did a solid job in making sure where it stopped and where it continued, as well as what was supposed to be in the fight, because there's a lot of times where shows, again, like I said, you know, they decide to cram everything in one episode to try and you know, make up time, and sometimes they ignore the most important parts, or they ignore some important sections and decide to put in other stuff, which, you know, sometimes a lot of people, it happens, you know, people may think this is more important than something else, but you then realize, oh no, that actually isn't, you know, good at all. Like you would have wanted it to be vice versa instead, right?
Are we talking about a specific anime here? Because there is one that comes to mind right now.
I mean, I have a lot of them, but you can go ahead and talk about which one you're talking about.
This reminds me completely of Promised Neverland. It sounds like that's what we're criticizing right now.
I mean, that's another one. That's obviously one we'll come on to in a future video, probably, because
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
That's the Promised Neverland, but we'll have to deal with that in a bit. Obviously, then we move into the final fight. Of course, you know, Tsukasa and Senku have their little bit of a showdown, and then we find out that, of course, Tsukasa is actually kind of a nice guy. He's not as bad as we initially. I mean, the thing is, we already knew he was a nice guy. He just had a very different way of going about things, and he had obviously a past that he didn't want to have in this future, effectively, kind of thing, you know. What are your thoughts on that one? And of course his sister and whatnot.
Yeah, I think it was really nice to see the backstory, because I felt like that was always kind of implied, was that Tsukasa wasn't necessarily a bad guy, but he had very misguided views on the world, which led him to be the antagonist here. And so that's I think part of what made him such a compelling antagonist, is that he clearly can feel for the guy. He's kind of got Thanos syndrome almost, but I mean, maybe a little bit better. I mean,
that's actually a good comparison, to be fair. Yeah, the Killmonger Thanos kind of vibe.
Yeah, and I think that makes for good antagonists in this day and age, especially. And so I think actually seeing the story there, I think really added a lot to Tsukasa's character that we really wanted to see, because he was one of those characters that didn't really get fleshed out in season 1, and he was really compelling, so it was nice to actually see it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. And of course, then we find out that when Tsukasa decides to do a truce with Senku, we see the actual potential antagonist in Hyoga, basically. Hyoga decided to make a coup effectively,
basically,
and destroys the cave as well. Like, that was a turn of events I wasn't expecting. I mean, he came out of nowhere, to be honest. I wasn't even expecting him to just be like, you know what?
Well, I
F
think
y'all, I'm about to destroy this.
I'll be honest. Like,
did you see that coming?
There were a little
okay,
hints,
fair enough.
because he was clearly a bad guy. Like we found that as we go through the.
Okay, no, I agree with you on that. That he seemed like he was instigating Tsukasa at points. I feel as well. I can agree with you on that. But I never thought he would outright be like,
oh yeah, like the coup.
F y'all, kinda.
Yeah, I didn't think it would happen
it's just
this
like,
season
bro,
if that was gonna happen. Like, I thought that would have been like a slow build, but. No, it's just surprise.
We would have probably still seen like moments where he's still instigating everybody in the camp and then trying to get them to turn on each other. But the fact that he did it quite immediately was surprising to me, and I'm interested to see if he still attempts it down the line potentially, right? Of course, we'll come on to season 3 and whatever happens in the future in a bit, but that's something I'm curious to see as to how Hyoga will obviously affect it, because once that was all done and we find out that everything's back, Senku defeats him and everything, and it's like he's in jail, and it's like, well, he's still alive and he's kicking. He's just like, what are they gonna do with him, right? Is he just gonna be in that jail forever? Is he gonna, are they gonna get him out of there? What's gonna be the situation, right?
Yeah, I think and I guess if we're getting into season 3 stuff to talk about that, I'm kind of curious as to what they're gonna do with him, because if their plan is to go to I guess this is the next point, they want to go to the other side of the world and try to figure out what happened with the petrification. Are they gonna bring them on the boat? Because that's like, 1, it's an enclosed space, and 2, I don't know if you guys really have the space. I mean, kind of, you have to either let them go or you have to take them on the boat. So I'm curious to see what happens there.
Well, I assume now that we'll come on to the Tsukasa situation in just a second, but we know that they're reviving more and more people now, right?
Yeah.
So I assume they're only taking a very select few people. So I assume it'll be probably, I mean, we saw it in the end, it's probably Senku, Kohaku, Taiju, Yuzihara, sorry, and a couple of others, right? Chrome as well, usual Gen. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a set amount of people and then Hyoga is still under locks and is kept under control by the other people there, like Magma and stuff like that.
So one thing I gotta say with that specifically, the reviving people still, I was very confused, because it seemed like when Hyoga did his little coup that the miracle cave got blown up, and I don't know if I missed something or if it just glossed over it, but at the end in the last episode, they're reviving more people, and I'm like, wait, how did they get the cave back? What? And so that threw me off, and I feel like that was either a plot hole or I missed it. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I think it's alright. I mean, I can agree with you. It might be a plot hole, but it might be addressed in a future season. I feel like a lot of shows do this, where it's just like, oh, we'll keep it as a sort of you do the guesswork kind of thing, or you kind of figure it out until we say something in a future episode or future season or something, right?
Yeah.
That's what I think personally. But it could also be that they just ignored it, and it might have been in the manga. Obviously, manga readers can tell us this maybe if you guys are in the comment section.
Yeah, if we missed something as well in the anime, please do let me know in the comments, because I'm going to be checking that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm definitely very thrown off by that specifically, because I feel like that's such an important thing that they built up to. We need to keep this cave, and we need to take the cave so we can have the miracle fluid, and then for them,
Yep.
I don't know. That just threw me off. So if I missed something, please let me know.
Yeah, and of course, let's move on to the final thing, of course, that happened as well as Tsukasa was frozen. Of course, Tsukasa had a effectively life-threatening injury, effectively, and he was gonna die from sepsis, I think it was, of course. And what Senku basically decided was to, you know, put him under cryo, effectively, for the time being, and then petrify him at some point so that they can then de-petrify him, because from what we were told is that if you de-petrify, if somebody is petrified, any injuries or anything they had or whatever it may have been, any illness or disease or whatever it was, they would immediately recover from it after they are de-petrified. What do you think about that? Because that seems to me kind of like a way, if they are able to kind of redo the petrification process at a limited scale, they can use it kind of like as a senzu bean, effectively, sort of, where petrify somebody, de-petrify them the next second, kind of thing, right? So that's going to be a very interesting to see how they do that. And what are your thoughts on that one?
I think whenever they actually figure that out, I think that's basically endgame for the story. Again, this is not with any manga in mind, but like, I think if they can figure that out, then they've won, and that's it. So like, I think that's gonna be safe for the end. It's just a way to keep Tsukasa alive and have a nice happy ending. So I think it'll be a long time before we actually have to address that. But I don't think, just based on how things have gone, I don't see this being like now we can heal everyone and now we never have to worry about anything. Like the same kind of thing like with a Dragon Ball where it's a senzu bean and they can just heal whenever. I think this is going to be more of it's a way to resolve this in the end, but it's not going to be a thing that they use liberally, because they've been very good about how they apply certain things.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's been good so far, and hopefully, I mean, they did mention it even in the anime, like the last episode, it was like, oh, the one thing that destroyed humanity is now being used as a convenient tool, effectively, which was kind of funny to me, because it was like, that's very, very accurate, actually, if you think about it, right? But yeah, no, let's talk a bit about what to expect from season 3 now. Of course, we've covered a lot of the major plot points that we think were key. Season 3, of course, they said now it's time to go to the origin of where the petrification process started. We know Byakuya effectively left some coordinates and stuff like that for them to kind of locate where it is. And of course, we kind of, based on what he said, it's on the other side of the world, which I assume would be like South America, basically, right? That's going to be very interesting. Do you think we'll finally find out who's the big bad? The person or the reason behind it? Do you think it was a natural thing that happened, or was it like somebody's done it?
That's tough. I think it'll be a natural thing, though. I think it would be really hard for it to be like something that was man-made, you know. It could maybe be aliens, but again, like I don't know. I'd say natural is probably the most likely cause, and then that I think also adds maybe some conflict towards the end if it's something natural that happened because humans were on the planet Earth and that they caused some issue or something. That's like, okay, Senku, do you want to bring everyone back still because they're going to cause this problem again? Oh, now you have to fix this problem before you can bring everyone back. And so I think that's the only way I see it really working out. But you know, it's so enigmatic that, you know, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's kind of like the whole thing is like you said, if it is nature, it's like nature said we don't want you, kind of thing, effectively at that point. So is it going to be like science versus nature, if that's the whole point, or is that going to be the thing? But for me, I'm like, I want to see if it is actually somebody behind it, because it's like, who hates humanity that much to the point where you have literally destroyed humanity as a whole, and you've effectively nearly caused mass extinction. You know, somehow it didn't work that way, but will it happen again? Has that person lived all these years, the 3,000 years that passed away, or whatever it was, right? Since 2019 to the year that it is right now in the show. Has he survived this long to the point where he can do it again, right? That's going to be another interesting theory to talk about as well. but yeah, no, apart from that, I think season 2 left off at a very good spot, as questioning like what's gonna happen, are we gonna see the big bad of the series inevitably. One thing obviously to address is that we did see somebody at the end of the episode, to tease what's gonna come in season 3, and I'm interested to see if he's gonna be is he gonna be like the primary antagonist for the next arc, or is he just gonna be somebody who joins Senku in their team effectively? Because obviously we know that I don't think there is anybody in that team yet who's like a sort of navigator / explorer, right? So I do wonder if we're gonna be able to, if that guy who we saw is either A, an antagonist, or B, somebody who joins their team to help them explore the seas effectively.
I mean, I guess we've got Sonar guy, but he's a little bit different. So yeah,
he's a bit different. I think we need somebody who can like actually navigate their maps and whatnot, and like go to like places, because how do you I mean, you might like, I wouldn't be surprised if Senku first decides to go to South America, but instead of going east way, or like going from Japan to South America east, they decide to go the other way around and they land up in Africa or something instead, Imagine if that happens or something, right? So getting somebody who's actually good at navigation potentially might be very important for them. So it's going to be very interesting to see if they manage to uncover it, because they also have that journalist on their roster as well, right?
That
now
can help us find good people.
Exactly. So if they manage to find, say, a person who's able to uncover a navigator or something, that's going to be very interesting. But yeah, I think they've left off at a good point, and when we were preparing this video, we were kind of saying like, will it come soon? And then we found out on Twitter that it's already announced. So I mean, I expect it to be I mean, in terms of soon, I mean, it's still announced, so we don't exactly know when it's gonna come. I expect it to be next year pretty much now, 2022. Effectively maybe summer 2022. I think that would be a good time to do it, give them some time to do the storyboarding, writing, see how much episodes they need and whatnot. What do you think? When do you think it'll come then?
Ultimately, I think because we had a shorter season, I do expect that it'll be out a little bit sooner. All that being said, though, I am excited. I think that we'll probably know the actual date soon, I'm guessing, because if they're like leaking an announcement right now, we'll get an actual like official announcement of pretty soon, I would imagine.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, I agree. I mean, it's not even now that we have a Twitter reveal about it, basically, I think we'll probably find out relatively soon when exactly it's gonna come. But yeah, no, that's fair. Let's round up a bit on the things we liked and disliked. What were the things you liked and disliked, Waffles? Let's start off with you first.
Sure. I liked Tanju coming back. I disliked not having enough Suika. Suika's fantastic, and she was not very well used in the season.
One thing I will say, speaking of Suika, sorry to interrupt you, but Suika, I want to see some interactions between Suika and Mirai. Honestly, that's gonna be great.
That'll be adorable. Oh my god,
that'll be fantastic. I'll enjoy it so much. But yeah, there you go. Continue on. Sorry.
No worries.
Sorry.
I really liked getting some backstory on Magma and getting like some development there. Well, maybe not backstory, just development. Like, it was nice to see him not be just a terrible person, because like season 1 he was awful. God.
Yeah.
I think a lot of
that is very, very true.
Yeah, a lot of characters got good development here. One thing I really, really liked was the way that Tsukasa was drawn very clearly changes between him being the antagonist and him like putting on a shirt and then working with Senku. You can see that like early on he's very bulky, he's like very intimidating, and as soon as he puts on a shirt he's a lot slimmer, he's got a kind of baggy features. It feels like it's more of a friendly, I guess kind of less threatening vibe. And so
he's got that less he's got a calmer aura about him. Yeah,
exactly. And so I felt like that was a really nice touch, and that was one thing that I noticed very quickly when I saw that, and just I really appreciated it. How about you?
I can pretty much agree with you on most of it. Like the only thing I didn't like was some of the pacing could have been better. Obviously, that was my major concern. Apart from that, I didn't really have that many issues outside of like certain moments, and obviously the OP obviously spoils everything, so I can't really complain about getting spoiled. I mean, that's obvious.
I will say, just to interrupt on that, the OP grew on me quite a bit. I thought at the very beginning I kind of just didn't like the OP because it was really slow.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but it grew. It's good OP.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of times that happens in shows. I feel like even like Kaguya-sama season 2 is the biggest example for me personally, where I hated the OP at the first time I heard it, but then it's probably better than the first season OP now to me personally. So it grows on people. But yeah, I have to agree with the things you said as well. I liked as well, pretty much the same things. I agree with you on the Tsukasa thing. It was very nice that to see how his the way they drew him went from this threatening personality to a more calmer, friendlier personality as well. You could notice it in his art style that they did. I also like I always like the fact that season 2 is like season 1 is always about developing the world, understanding the world we're in and whatnot. And then season 2 is like connections, show us the connections between each character. What's Senku's relation with this character, that character, X character, Y character, and this is something we still saw as well, and we saw backstory regarding those characters as well, which was good. I'm really hoping to see more from here on out though still, because there's still a lot we don't know and a lot more characters potentially to be introduced, so it's gonna be very interesting. But yeah, those are the things we liked and disliked. Of course, let us know down in the the comment section down below. Kind of got stumbled there a bit.
That's
but
alright.
Comment section down below. Let us know what you guys think, of course, of Dr. Stone Season 2. Did you guys enjoy it? Are you guys excited for Season 3? It's been Gale, Wright, and Waffles. Hopefully you liked this video, and we'll see y'all in the next one.
Yep.
Hopefully for the Jujutsu Kaisen review.
Oh,
Catch you guys later on.
All right. See you guys.